I can't believe how much research has to be done on your sculptures. No wonder you're so good at it, because it's almost like getting into the character of a role you're going to play.
I was about to say, yeah, it's so much like that. Because what has to happen is, especially someone who's been, like with Darby, they've been gone for 70 years. You have to just read about him, try to get into the character of who he is. And then it is like that. It's like I'm the actor who's playing him. And I have to figure out as much as I can about him, so that as I'm making choices, as I'm sculpting, I'm going, does this feel right more than anything? Does it feel like him?
So it's not just about skill, it's intuitiveness too.
Oh, yeah. I always have to think, what's the emotional goal of what I'm doing? Where am I wanting this to go emotionally? And then you're putting the likeness and especially with with Darby, you have to get all the military stuff right, because those guys, man. And at one point, I'm sending pictures to them all, checking things. And at one point, I had one rank on his collar and one rank on his cap. And they're like, "Oh, Kevin, you got two different." Because I'm not a military. I was like, I'm just seeing you guys are checking, making sure you're on your toes. So yeah, you're just layering all that on.
Do you get in that personality? Does it kind of affect your home life and who you are while you're sculpting a certain personality type?
Yeah, I was ordering Bridget and the kids around for months.
Whatever. Were you singing? Were you singing when you were doing Levon?
Bridget has like perfect pitch, so she can't stand this. It's like fingernails down the blackboard when I sing. So
you said in a publication, it's a kick knowing that my public work will still be there long after I'm gone. I never thought about that aspect too much until after my father died. It is also great hearing people interpret what they see in some of my work. It makes me realize that everyone sees art through their filter of life, and that every interpretation is just as valid as the reason I did it. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, well, my first public sculpture was Baptist Hospital. And P. Allen Smith was redoing the garden, and he brought me on to do, it's like a Good Samaritan scene. So anyway, when we had installed it and I was doing some finishing work, that's when I first realized, because you would get these people coming up and they would say, "Did you do this?" And I was like, "Well, yes, sir." And he'd go, he'd go, "Now, is that supposed to be the hospital and that the patient?" And I go, "Yeah." I never, and then it kept happening over and over again. Another one would come up, and is that supposed to be God and that Job? Sure, you bet. That's exactly, is that Jesus and that us? Sure, you bet.
Wow.
Yeah, I never, it was just right in my face. The first time that I thought, this is great. This is great.
So what do you think about all the Confederate statues being taken down? After all, aren't they just art also?
I think you probably can't get away from, I think you have history, but then you have the history of the way they were brought in during the time they were brought in, for the thinly veiled reasons that they were brought in. And I think that's what makes it, for me, so troubling, because I didn't realize that growing up. I think a lot of this stuff it just kind of becomes wallpaper you don't notice anymore when you're sort of growing up around it. And then all this attention is brought on it, and you're going, "Oh, wow, I hadn't really thought about that. I hadn't really looked at it," because you've been driving past it every day all your life or something.
So what are most of those sculptures made out of?
I think a lot of those would probably bronze as well.
So the sculptures are going to be taken down? Were there ever any famous artists that did any of them, you think?
Nothing that pops to my mind right off the bat.
Yeah, I can't think of anything either. I heard someone say something about them being art, and I thought, I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
No?
Well, and it's interesting too, because somebody was talking about here in Little Rock and on the Capitol grounds, and it's the one of it's actually of a soldier walking all, he's holding hands with his mother, and there's a little kid at the mother's side. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. If you're looking at the Capitol, it's sort of to the left. It's up on a pretty high pedestal, and somebody talking about that being a Confederate, because it's not as blatantly obvious as Stonewall Jackson or Robert Lee or whatever. And because I always looked at it and just thought, oh, it's just a memorial to families being torn apart by war. So
right.
I don't think it's as egregious as some of the other ones.
If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the picture of Kerry's face in the center of the screen. To watch the full-length interview, click the video in the top right. For more interview highlights, click the video in the bottom right. Thank you for watching.